AYANEO has been making cool but expensive handhelds for the last few years now, and the 3 is no exception. However, it's got one cool trick. Magic freaking modules, baby. These things are so cool. You've got 2 little things here, and you just pop them out, and you put new ones in. You don't want the thumbstick, you want something else? Boom, slap it on. You want a trackpad? Boom, slap it on. You want different ABY buttons? Boom, slap them on, boom. It's modular and it's pretty sweet, and this is the first time I'm actually gonna look at it, so I'm super excited because I am a handheld owner. I have an ROG Ally and I love it, but this might replace it because it looks freaking really cool actually, and I haven't even like taken it out of the box. At the very top, we've got our nice handheld. It does usually come with a protective film screen, but we've of course taken it off before doing our testing. Is there anything else in here? It's a pretty big box. We got a little AYANEO card. We've just got a bunch of instructions and probably a warranty card in here. We got to take a look at what else is in the box under our warranty card. We've got 3 smaller boxes. I love smaller boxes. It's like one of those Russian nesting dolls. It comes with a 65-watt charger. However, during our testing, we did notice that on the charge session, it was only pulling about 42 watts. Not sure if it's just because of early production models or some weird bypass mode was enabled, but something to be aware of. What else is in the box? We've got adapter, more adapters. All right, so you're good to go no matter what plug you've got at home. And then this final box is, I'm guessing, a cable. There's a nice USB-C cable. C to shining C, I might say. It's probably about 5 feet. This thing looks super sick. It comes in 3 different colorways. We've got the black one. Kind of wish we had retro, but that's all right. Analog Hall effect triggers, Hall effect joysticks. Buttons feel actually pretty good, and I mean, I can swap these apparently. I haven't done it yet. I'm really excited to like pop these in and out and see how easy it is to actually change one on the fly. We've got an Oculink port at the top here. We've got USB 4 on the top and bottom, so no matter how you want to charge, easy enough. And then it looks like we've also got a micro SD card slot on the bottom here. So you want to add some extra storage, boom, easy. And you're probably going to want to because it can come with up to 4 terabytes on board, but it costs a lot of money. We'll talk about that later. As for just fit and finish, it's otherwise pretty cool. This whole top appears to be glass, which looks really good until I touch it with my fingers, which like it's a handheld, so you're gonna be kind of doing that all the time. It's already super smudged up here. But if you keep it in pristine condition, then I mean, hey, it looks sexy. And then last but not least, we've got a 3.5mm headphone jack here. If you don't wanna use Bluetooth, like me, and then actually what's cool is the 2 speaker grills are like kind of integrated into the glass, I guess. Overall, it's pretty cool. It honestly feels like regular comfortable. I wouldn't say it's the most comfy handheld I've ever had, but it doesn't dig into my palms or anything. These are like super rounded and soft edges on the bottom here. And I actually might use the buttons on the back for once. I don't normally. I typically just ignore everything on the back except for the 4 shoulder buttons, but these are kind of nicely placed, so they're really accessible to your kind of like ring fingers. The weight's not too bad. It's only got a 49 watt-hour battery, which compared to like an Ally X with 80 watt-hours, it's a lot less, but it's a little more than a regular Ally at 40, so that's not awful. And then what are these? What are these switches? What do those do? Oh, that's super cool. So you can actually change how much the trigger depth is by just kind of toggling these, whether you want to go full force or you want to pop them up and just go, you know, little micro presses. If you buy it out of the box, it's going to come like this with these 2 guys here installed. But if you want more modules, you can buy some. And you know what? I love the Steam Deck's trackpad. And the one thing I don't like about my Ally is it doesn't have trackpads on it. So let's try that. Let's try them out. Whoa, these are cool. And then if you want to just take them out, you go to AYASpace and you click the 1-click pop-up. What the? That's some of the coolest I've ever seen. What the? They've just got like little pogo pins on the bottom here to interface with these pins here. That makes sense. What do I want to use? These are 2 D-pads, so I don't want a D-pad. Let me go with this D-pad here. I just pop it in. Okay, that was easy. And then I want a fighting stick 6-button layout. Okay, I can see in the software here that it's changed to Hall sensing joystick membrane switch 8-way button, which yeah, looks correct. Oh, let me go back in the software. Hold on, there we go. And then it changed to membrane micro switch fight buttons, which is like, that was easy. I literally pressed a button, popped them out, popped the new ones in, it detected right away. Super simple. I'm actually really impressed. But I don't really want to use these, so let's try some other ones. After a word from our sponsor.
Thanks to Lian Li for sponsoring this video. Their Galahad 2 Lite AIO cooler comes in 360 and 240mm variants, making it a great companion for just about any build. Equipped with a high-performance pump that reaches up to speeds of 3,800 RPM, it'll keep your systems running cool, even under heavy loads. Plus, it's available with non-RGB fans for folks who prefer a performance with a stealth look, or RGB for those who want their fans a little bit more bling bling. But don't worry, both have fans that spin it up to 2,500 RPM. Check it out using our link today.
But I really want to try the nice D-pad they got here and the trackpad I was talking about earlier. And it's done. Wow, that's so quick. It's actually really cool. And I actually really like this case. Like this is, you know, if I put all these back, nothing's gonna get damaged. This is like a hard plastic case. You'd have to like really step on this thing to mess it up. And if you don't like the black case, they got a white one for you. There's nothing in here, but they include the case. So sure, I'll take some extra plastic. Another super cool trick, all these face buttons, you can reorganize them. You don't like B being over there, you want it on the bottom? Take it out and swap it. Okay, let's play a game and actually try out the touchpad. I gotta say, one thing I'm not a huge fan of is some of the button placement. I don't like going down here onto the bottom for my start and select kind of options, hamburger button stuff. This just feels weird, like, oh, I wanna pause the game. Boom, let me just like completely change how I'm holding the console to hit that button. I don't like it. AYASpace, you're not gonna use it as frequently, so I don't really mind that it's down at the bottom, but to each their own. Just playing Returnal here, 1080p low, and it's actually handling it pretty well. This thing's got a Ryzen AI 9 HX370 in it, which is too many characters for a CPU, but you know what? It's pretty solid. We actually tested better performance at lower wattage than the Ally X with the Z1 Extreme. The other option, because you can get this with a different CPU, you can get it with an 8840U, which is pretty on par with the Z1 Extreme. So you're gonna get what you pay for in terms of performance. You will be paying more for the HX370, but at just about every wattage, it actually seems to do pretty well. So maybe you want that. There's no real other options in the handheld space for something better than an 8840U or a Ryzen Z1 Extreme. Another big SKU that you can choose from with this device is OLED versus LCD. The LCD is gonna have variable refresh rate, but it's pretty much worse in every other way. OLED just has incredible motion pixel response time. So I'd probably stick with this, which is the OLED. I gotta say, the force feedback, it's a little loud. It feels good in my hands. Like it's kind of a nice, like gentle rumble, but it doesn't sound very gentle out loud. The trackpad works. I don't like it for shooters, but I can confirm it's looking around as my camera. Well, hitched a little bit, but like honestly, the performance is pretty rock solid and it looks good. And as for display testing, for brightness, this thing did do over the claimed 800 nits of around 1,000 in both SDR and HDR. And then on top of that, it reached about 750 nits in full screen. So it's a small screen, but that's still pretty impressive, especially for OLED. Man, this thing does look really good. I've been told it sounds really good, so I want to find out for myself. AYASpace is usually pretty good, but this is one of those instances where it's being kind of annoying, and I don't know if it's because of the modular controllers or whatever, but I mean, you can see me, like I can turn it down no problem, but then up, it's just not registering. So I'm gonna use the touch screen and just crank this slider. I mean, I say that, and then I can't slide it. There we go. There's some kinks to work out. And I'm not saying that every other handheld is perfect, but Windows on a handheld does typically work a little bit better than that. AYASpace is okay. But yeah, now I've got audio turned on. Oh, there's RGB mode. What's the RGB? Show me the RGB. Oh, it's on the thumbstick. That is good. Yo! These speakers have no right to be this good. Let me turn it down a little bit. So this is 44% volume. This sounds great. Honestly, the only time I'd ever use my headphones for this is if I'm like on the go, on the train, playing in the living room while someone's watching TV, you know, something like that. Because these are probably the best speakers on a handheld I've ever heard. I typically have an ROG Ally, so I'm using Armoury Crate, which has its own problems, but for the most part, it does just kind of work. I haven't had any issues where like buttons aren't controlling different sliders and stuff. The navigation also seems typically pretty easy. Oh, now it's working. There we go. Okay, but it's going in like bursts. You see that? Like, that's just weird. This is a pre-production model. The software's probably not quite done. There might be some updates to fix these things, but I wish it would just kind of work on its own out of the box. Otherwise, you know, settings are pretty typical. You've got like airplane mode, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi on off. One thing to note is that this does have 3 different power modes. And one big difference actually from previous AYANEOs is that you can't adjust how much RAM gets allocated to VRAM. You can only stick with the 4 gigs, which probably explains why our ROG Ally actually beat this thing when testing Grid Legends. Previous AYANEOs, you could map up to I think 8 gigs, and that was pretty sweet. Especially at 1080p when you're not playing 720 and you wanna like actually take advantage of the really nice 144 Hertz OLED display. I will say, the controller stuff with the Magic modules, that just worked. It did seem to auto-detect it without any issues at all. I like the little visual indication to show which modules you have on there. So frankly, as long as they just keep kind of like patching it a little bit. One thing that's actually really nice that I just noticed while scrolling through the menu is it's got these Windows options down here like Device Manager, Task Manager, Control Panel. Those are actually really handy to have at your fingertips, especially stuff like display settings. It might get mad at me now because I'm in a game. Okay, but you know, when that happens, you know, you're on a handheld, just swipe up, close window. It's not that complicated. I get that everyone loves SteamOS and it is pretty good, but I personally find Windows on a handheld to be totally usable and hopefully it gets a little better. The only thing that really bugs me with my Ally is that sometimes it doesn't go to sleep properly, then the battery's gone. Which is kind of a bit of a downside of this guy. The battery being only 49 watt hours. I get it, they don't want to pack more battery in to make it heavier or to make it thicker or to make it uncomfortable in any way, but like when a lot of the competition is upping to 80 watt hours, which is quite a while, that's really good. When this thing is pushed to the limit at the highest power setting, brightness turned up, you're gonna get about an hour of gaming done.
We only got 40 minutes in our stress test.
We only got 41 minutes in our stress test. When everything's cranked, like that's pretty rough. I get that you're gonna turn the sound down, you're gonna turn the screen brightness down, maybe you'll turn the wattage down a couple notches, but yikes. Especially when you compare it to an ROG Ally X, which doesn't cost as much as one of these guys. That's got almost 2 hours worth of gaming off of the wall. You're not getting that here, and it's a bit of a shame. And if you want to push it a bit more, maybe you're on a long car trip and you won't need the battery to last all day, it's not going to. It'll do about 6 hours with everything set to low, and the Ally X measures almost 13. I'm not sitting here trying to say, oh, go buy an Ally X. They've got their own problems. I'm not getting into that. And I will say, it's super freaking cool to have this incredible, beautiful OLED display and these super modular controllers. But let's talk about the price, because it's really, really cool, but it's really, really expensive. Retail price for the base model 8840U Starry Black, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage, $899. And then that goes all the way up to $1399 with the 64 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes of storage. And then if you want the HX370, you're starting at $1,500 for the 32 gig 1 terabyte, going all the way up to $2,100 for 64 gigs of RAM, 4 terabytes of storage. To be fair, those top end models on both the 8840U and the HX370 do come with the module kit. However, if you want to buy them separately, it's going to be about $140. So it's a really tough pill to swallow. That pill gets a little easier to swallow if you want to pre-order this thing. On Indiegogo, there's early bird pricing and regular pricing, and that knocks $200 off if you get the early bird, maybe only $100 if you're just early-ish on Indiegogo. But the Ally X with 1 terabyte of storage costs $800, and a Steam Deck is like way cheaper than that, even the Steam Deck OLED. That being said, this thing is absolutely mind-blowingly sick when you take into account the modular controllers. And if you want this exact layout like I've got with the trackpad here, and you want to change it the next day, this is your only option. And so for you, it actually might be worth spending a few $100s more to get something like this. And if you want to spend a bit more money and get the HX370, that's going to be the best chip in handhelds, at least right now. It's going to get an upgrade in a couple years, you know, chips do, but right now, this is the best of the best. As for myself, I didn't upgrade from the Ally to an Ally X. The battery, it's nice, but it was kind of the only major upgrade aside from some slightly faster memory. But I'll be frank, especially if I can sell my Ally for a bit and then buy like the base model of this thing and then do some upgrading. I don't know how easy it is to open and upgrade any of the internals, The SSD is probably doable at least. I'm tempted. I gotta say, this controller thing is so freaking cool. Like, if you had, like, who's ever seen this? Nobody. It's the world's first. Look at this. Look at this. I can do it again. That's that's great. Like, who doesn't? And you can like trick your friends. You can be like, "Oh my God, you broke my handheld. What the?" I just don't think it ever gets old. I don't think it's going to ever get old. I do worry a little bit about, like, you know, you do this 100 times, maybe these start to wear out a little bit. But I think overall, this is probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Oh, I put it upside down and it detected it. What? Yo, you can flip them upside down. Man, this thing is so sick. That's gotta be the absolute coolest thing I've ever seen on a handheld device. But what do you guys think? Like, comment, subscribe on the video, tell us in the comments, and check out the next one that I do. I don't know what it'll be yet, because I don't know the future.